Channel 10.
We used to be like CNN Channel 10, and we used to think that people would catch on.
You know,
but if you're not from Queens, if you don't got Time Warner or whatever, like, well, I didn't know
do
that.
it, yo. Yo, word up, man. It's a different channel, son. Word up, on, man. Word up, watch the channel, son. Different plane now, man.
It's all good.
Word up, all good, baby, in every hood, son. Word up, yo. CNN Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas, it's grown men. Bold face, get in your face. Stay in place, yo, crime lace. Cast more beef than Scarface. CNN Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas, that's grown men. Bold face, get in your face. Stay in place, yo, crime lace. Cast more beef than Scarface.
Yo.
Welcome back once again. It's the Channel 10 podcast. It is I, the almighty ARR, Tick in the building, and I'm alongside
Singer Superior.
And man, can you believe that it's been a year?
I can't, man. I can't. Not at all.
That's crazy. Like, just the progression from recording over the phone, recording on Google Voice, to upgrading little by little, week after week, getting guests, stepping up the microphone game. Now we're doing end-to-end recording. You can go to patreon.com/channel 10 podcast. You can order a t-shirt, cafepress.com/channel 10 podcast. You can go to channel10podcast.com. The website's looking crispy.
Yeah, man.
And, you know, it's been a lot of interesting moments throughout the past year. What are some of your highlights?
I guess I would say the first highlight at least would be the first episode, and you know, not for sentimental reasons, but just the fact that we couldn't get the shit to work.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like at least 30 to 40% of the episode is really just us, you know, trying to see if we can hear each other. So
yeah,
that was always interesting. But you know, another one. I think one of my favorite episodes is the pimp juice in your mouth one.
I gotta go back and listen to that. I barely even remember what we talked about. I just know that it got a lot of hits.
Yeah, it was you know, it revolved around my story about, you know, traveling to my dorm and mall to get the pimp juice.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I think one of the craziest episodes for me was when we recorded, what was it? The night after the riots?
Oh yeah.
And that was just a crazy day for me because, you know, my mother actually fell and hit her head. And so we went to the emergency room, and you had different people coming in with various riot related injuries. And, you know, that was just crazy. I think I told my story on there, so you can go back and listen. I think that might have been episode 5?
It was it was that. I thought we were in the 10s by the time the riots came, but I guess not. We started in March.
Yeah, the riots were in April.
Damn, it's crazy. It's almost a year for that. Yeah. Kind of ironic that the podcast came around the same time the riots came.
Yeah, and it just always seems that something is popping off whenever we decide to sit down and you know, record an episode with just us. Like that time we sat down to record and Meek Mill was just going off randomly on Drake on Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, you know, for the listeners, you know, usually, you know, when we start, you know, but before we press record and, you know, start recording up, you know, an episode for a podcast, you know, we talk a little bit, and at least 60% of the time, you know, while we're talking or whatever like that, I just, you know, all the AR will be on some shit like, shit is crazy right now. And then it'll be some crazy shit on Twitter, or, you know, something that happened, and, you know, the music industry or something like that. And, you know, a lot of times that's where some of our conversations come from.
Yeah, and speaking of that, you know, we were supposed to record this yesterday. Originally, And had we recorded yesterday, that was when it was announced that Phife Dog from A Tribe Called Quest passed. So definitely rest in peace to him. And, you know, I wrote a little something on the website, channel10podcast.com. You can go ahead and check that out. Just, you know, reflecting on my Tribe Called Quest listening experiences, and, you know, thinking about the time when they had that reunion on Rock the Bells, and I was, you know, privileged to be able to be, you know, kind of backstage, kind of on the stage while they were performing. That was just a hip hop moment right there, you know.
Yeah, actually, I took the time out to listen to half of Midnight Marauders today when I woke up. And, you know, like, to me, I always liked, you know, Phife Dog's, you know, writing ability. And, you know, I really feel like, at least in the Tribe era, I feel like, you know, Phife Dog's lyrics were stronger than, you know, anyone else's. I like the whole clique, and, you know, I'm not saying that because the man died. You know, I like, me personally, I'm not the biggest Tupac fan. I'm not the biggest Biggie fan. I don't go back and listen to that stuff all like that. But I mean, you know, like, Midnight Marauders is like my favorite Tribe album, and I'm not the biggest Tribe fan, honestly, but my favorite song from Midnight Marauders is A Million Stories. You know, just the lyricism, like, I guess, like, the subtle lyricism, although it's like, it's really straightforward but to the point, but it's just like how he just wrote on the beat, and his flow.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the thing about Tribe to me is that they, you know, definitely cultivate a certain vibe, and, you know, just the vocal texture. You know, whenever you heard Phife, it just kind of made you feel good. And, you know, one of my favorite Phife moments is actually on the Love Movement. That song, Now You Caught My Heart for the Evening, that joint right there, that's a classic, which is actually, you know, not in, I don't know, you know, where people put the Love Movement when it comes to Tribe albums, but, you know, that album was like, that might have been like the first Tribe I really listened to, and, you know, certain songs just really stuck out, and that was one of them. And, you know, it's because of the way, you know, Phife kind of rode the beat on there.
I mean, you're the only person I've ever talked to who mentioned about the Tribe, and, you know, who mentions, like, the Love Movement. Some people that I know who are, like, avid Tribe fans, some of them, they didn't even know that the Love Movement exists.
Nah. And, you know, one thing about Tribe, you know, I'm not sure about the history and, you know, the breakup and how that album even really came about, but I do know that Dilla had a big influence on that as well, so rest in peace to Dilla as well. But you know, I thought that was a dope dope album.
Dope movement.
Yeah, I was about to say dope movement. It was a dope movement. And another album too is Beats, Rhymes, and Life, which is kind of slept on, and I actually didn't know that album existed. And then but, you know, I always like that song Stressed Out, but then, you know, going back and listen to it, you know, that album was pretty solid too. I mean, it's a little bit darker, I feel, than the rest of the Tribe catalog, but I definitely gravitated towards that album as well.
Yeah, isn't that that's the album where Q-Tip has, like, that one song about AIDS, I think, if I'm correct.
It might have been, because another thing that I had, yeah, matter of fact, when I first started to try to get into Tribe, I listened to the anthology. So yeah. It was kind of like all the songs all mixed up from different albums and stuff like that. And, you know, anybody who needs an introduction to Tribe, I definitely recommend you check out the anthology, because it has, you know, of course, that bigger, more well-known songs like Check the Rhyme and Award Tour and Electric Relaxation.
Hot Sex.
But it does have, you know, some of the album cuts as well. So definitely check that out.
Man, like, I find that the way that, well, it wasn't really it was flipped the same way. I would love to know if whoever made that beat for Method Man off of his his classic To Count Zero album, if the Tribe was an influence, that one song, if that was influenced by the Tribe song.
It probably most definitely was. It's always interesting when you have those types of situations. Like I remember the introduction to Rough Riders Volume 1. That was actually, if not the same sample, or if not the same beat, at least it was the same sample flipped exactly the same as a EPMD joint, or maybe it was the whole Def Squad on there. So I do think that a lot of times rappers do pay homage to the older generation by doing that.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I don't know. I guess like the way this conversation is going so far, like we're admitting that, we don't exactly know certain parts, and, we're trying to remember certain shit. I guess it goes to show that, and even like without all of our episodes, is, somehow, some way, at least not lately, but, somehow, some way we get into a Wu-Tang conversation. And so I feel like we are much more, we're more Wu-Tang connoisseurs compared to, the Tribes and, I guess the
De Lies.
The De Lies. I was thinking about Butterflies Group. I can't think of Diggable Planets.
Yeah.
Damn. So we not going good today. Yeah, but tell us if you want to know about Harlem 6. We could probably tell you a story about them.
But
A&R.
Yeah. But I definitely have my Tribe go-to records, and I used to, when I used to make my playlists for driving, used to be a couple tracks off of I had like a nighttime mix, and there'll be a lot of Tribe on there, especially that Midnight joint from Midnight Marauders, and then the Oh My God joint, or I guess it's called God Shines Through, which was like the last song on there. And then, when I think of Tribe, I also think of Little Brother. And I think of all of the influences that Tribe had. And, without Tribe, you wouldn't have had Little Brother, who, were kind of like the first internet darlings, popping off from OK Player. And then, contrasting with the harder styles of like the Wu-Tangs and the Mobb Deeps at the time, which, of course, Q-Tip played a role in a lot of things like Mobb Deep, but it opened the door. They say Kanye opened the door for all these other people, but Tribe opened the door for them. Your Kanye's, your Lupe's, even up to your Kendricks. So the DNA from Tribe, Q-Tip and Phife and Jerobi and Ali and Jay Dilla and even Consequence, the DNA is strong throughout hip hop, throughout the generations.
I mean, yeah, it is. And, I always get confused between, interchanging all these different parts to Tribe. I mean, like, it was literally a tribe. People just came in, different kinship networks and shit. Then you have, God damn, I'm not doing well today. The large collective I can't think of right now.
Oh, the Native Tongues.
Yeah, Native Tongues, and, and Q-Tip was on everyone's album, man, like.
Yeah, I mean, Q-Tip,
Jungle Brothers,
he did a lot. And actually, I've been meaning to go back and listen to some more Jungle Brothers, because they had this one song that I really like. Actually heard it on Pandora one time, and it's just been in my head ever since.
Was it on The Run by any chance? Do you know?
I'm not sure what album it was on. I think it was probably a little bit more recent, but it was like, I got so much funky shit inside my brain.
I want to say that's on the first album.
Oh, I mean, it's crazy because it sounds new. Like, it sounds like a old school sounding new joint. Mm-hmm. So, I guess that goes to them being kind of ahead of their time.
I mean, they were, and their Our House You joint.
Oh yeah.
I love that song. I mean, it was pretty. I guess it is kind of dated, but
I mean, that's the fusion of hip hop and house, and that song definitely is a Baltimore staple.
Yeah. And now you have I never really heard it played on 92Q like that.
I mean, I've heard it, out and people mixing it and stuff like that, and I think there's like a million different remixes of it.
And we need to get one of these Baltimore DJs on here, man, like to really provide the landscape of shit nowadays.
Oh, like one of the newer ones?
I mean, yeah, one of the newer ones, or even like the older ones that are like, that are still around, that, that can remember that time, but, at the same time, like, what are Baltimoreans like listening to in the clubs like right now?
Yeah. Well, definitely shout out to DJ Boo, man. That was definitely a highlight. Having him on the show. He broke down how club music started, and we learned a lot about the parallels between the beginnings of Baltimore club music and hip hop, and how the way that they started from the party scene was very similar, and kind of happened at the same time, and they had certain things some of the same breaks and samples and stuff like that, but it might be a little bit more sped up or chopped up for the club music, and that was really interesting.
I mean, yeah, and that, and I guess to get a little nerdy, even that elusive Be More Club kick and where that came from.
Yeah. Anybody searching for Baltimore club drum samples, you definitely come across that, and that kick 3.
I mean, well, all right, well, I've seen kick 3, and then I've seen Be More Club kick.
Yeah, I think one of those is like the 808 type joint. I think that's the Be More. I gotta look at my kit again.
Well, I have a Baltimore club kit that I have like available on Mediafire, and it has like, I don't know how many downloads it's at right now, but last time I checked, it was at like over 1,000.
Man,
so
we gotta get some money off that.
I mean, shit, I just downloaded it from someone else. I didn't make it.
Hey, man. Supply and demand.
That's very true. I mean, yeah, man. Like, but yeah, like I think that was the most fascinating thing. I think that from that episode, because honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of club music. I'm more electro, but at the same time, learning about the intricacies between like the particular kicks that people use, and like the different forms, and how Boo Man explained, how the Be More Club form has kind of changed over time with different eras, and really mapping that out for us. Yeah. It was really interesting.
Yeah, so shout out to DJ Boo Man. Definitely check him out. Just Google him, you'll find him. And for the listeners who may not know, he brought you Watch Out for the Big Girl. That's all you need to know right there. He's official.
Yeah, and maybe one day we can get Black Star on here, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, we've managed in our first year, our little ragtag organization. We've been able to secure some pretty official people. Shout out to Al Shipley, our first guest. We definitely have history in the Baltimore hip hop community and the music scene with Al. And he took the time to speak to us. Now he's on bigger platforms, writing for Rolling Stone and things like that. But it was great talking to him about everything. Man, we've had just a variety of interesting conversations, and definitely go to channel10podcast.com and check them out. And on SoundCloud, I made a Baltimore playlist of all of our Baltimore guests giving different perspectives on the city. So we have Al Shipley, we have DJ Boo Man, we have up and coming artists like Brace Saga, we have Born King, Killer Fifth, really detailing some of the early days in Baltimore hip hop and his experiences there. And we also have DeRay McKesson, who's, you know, the Black Lives Matter activist who's running for mayor now. You know, who's, you know, all over the media, all over the world.
Yeah. And you know, also that playlist runs like around 9 hours, maybe, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, 9 hours of Baltimore oral history.
Yeah, there you go. And you know, that's definitely going to contribute to, you know, we were talking offline about the side project, but I think in the coming weeks, just look for something soon. You know, we're gonna present the oral history of Baltimore in a very special way for the people, presented by Channel 10 Podcasts.
Yeah. You know, also you know, shout out to Davy Sutton.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, I'm still inspired from that interview. And you know, I definitely plan on making that travel leap sooner rather than later. She basically detailed how to do it. You know, she's a travel journalist now, but she's also had a long career as a sports journalist. She's won 2 Emmy Awards. She's just a fascinating person. So definitely, you know, check her out as well. Shout out to Davy Sutton.
Yeah, and her documentary. And you know, also, you know, the you know, one of the guests who actually reached out to us.
Yeah.
In the early stages. So.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate it. You know, very candid interview. So, you know, we encourage you to go and check that out. I guarantee you will be entertained, educated, and everything in between.
Yeah, I mean, man, like what number episode are we on right now?
I believe this is 45. And you know what? We have 1 or 2 with just us, you know, together talking that we haven't even dropped yet. But I think this is 45. You know, by the time this comes out, the interview with Sean Sotero will be out. And you know, he hosts one of the you know, most well-known hip-hop podcasts out there, the Cypher. And he, you know, has an extremely interesting history throughout rock music and, you know, playing in bands and touring, to rap genius, and to you know, now he writes for Forbes magazine. He has input in the Cash Kings list, and you know, he has a variety of interesting interviews, and the way that he does his is, you know, it's just fantastic. So we definitely appreciated having him on as well, dropping gems.
Yeah, right, yeah, man.
And you know what? We can't forget, of course, Mateo.
Oh yeah.
Peace to Mateo. You know, it's just crazy how that came about. If you want to tell that story.
Oh yeah. So if anyone remembers, whenever, you know, Artic talks about, you know, his little brother phase, I always kind of combat that and say I was in my Busy Bone phase. And so till this day, since Busy Bone is kind of all over the place, you know, I have a Google alert on anything Busy Bone, so I can know, you know, what's going on. And you know, usually I get YouTube videos or whatever like that. But this one time I received something about a post on medium.com on, you know, Busy Bone and his background and stuff like that. And it was by Mateo. And, you know, I was reading through it, really interesting, really in depth. And then toward the end, you know, I see that it's a part of a larger piece, on Bone Thugs and Harmony, you know, this info, in so many words, oral history on Bone Thugs and Harmony. So I click on that and I just see that, you know, Machetes and Rum, that's the title of the book, and this is really in depth from different angles, you know, from then into now. And, you know, I just really felt as though we should have him on to really talk about, you know, Bone Thugs and Harmony, but at least most importantly for me, about Busy Bone. It's not every day, you know, you get to talk to someone who knows about Busy Bone's underground albums and stuff like that. So I mean, that's how we got to know Mateo. He was really impressed that we reached out to him regarding his book and stuff like that. So he's been supporting us ever since then. We've been supporting him ever since then. So just shouts out to Mateo.
Yeah, and he's definitely on his come up. Check out his profile series at medium.com/Mateo Urella. That's URELLA, I believe. And since the podcast, he's been he's written for Sports Illustrated. He's big into MMA, so he's done a lot in that realm as well. So definitely shout out to Mateo. He's definitely doing his thing and supporting. And he connected us with some great people like G-Sta and Blacknificent. That was a great interview.
I mean, yeah, man. The history of New Orleans hip hop, whole scene and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was just really fascinating. And definitely, those are some good dudes, and they're making some great music with their Don't Shoot the Messenger project. And we also got to speak to Cole James Cash, and he's super interesting. And he's a producer who does more than just make a beat tape. He has a whole concept behind it. And it's crazy because his concepts range from Saigon, Vietnam War, and all the way up to BBW, the pornographic opera, to A Letter to My Son, which he recently released, and you can check out on iTunes, Spotify, and his Bandcamp, wherever you get your music from. And his Street Champion album, which is based on Street Fighter, and he's been able to get some pretty high profile guests on there as well, who actually rap as characters from Street Fighter, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting album, I must say.
Yeah, so shout out to Cole James in the building.
Yeah, and even from Cole James, we're gonna have a lot of different artists that he's affiliated with that will be on the podcast soon, hopefully.
Yeah, he definitely illuminated us to various hip hop scenes that we didn't even know existed, that are out here in various regional pockets and flourishing. And speaking of that, we also had Joker the Bail Bondsman from Anchorage, Alaska, and he's just an interesting dude as well.
Yeah, I mean, business savvy and all, man.
I mean, just the way he, just from Anchorage, Alaska, was able to bogart his way onto BET rotation for BET Uncut, for one of the most iconic BET Uncut videos, Money in a Ziploc Bag, with Busy Bone himself.
Yeah, man, just, got me one step closer, man. One day.
Yeah. yeah, we gotta get busy on the podcast. But yeah, Joker, I had no idea all that was going on in Alaska, of all places. It's just a testament to hip hop's influence, even pre-internet, that